Hola, 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 fam. How is everyone doing today? Cafecito blessings. I don't know what happened, pero apparently we woke up to a nice spring morning in winter. I shall take it even though it feels weird. I just wanted to talk a little bit more about our emotional body. Um, we are made up of different body systems, our mind, our emotional, our physical, our spiritual, our energetics. And within our lives, I feel like a couple of our body systems get a lot of attention. For example, in school and in life, everyone's always saying you gotta learn, you gotta read, you gotta, you know, strengthen the mind, you have to feed it. Um, we're always understanding the importance of why it's important to work out and doing things for your body on a physical level to help it stretch, to help it release, to help it strengthen. Um, but somehow the energetics and the spiritual to me and the emotional don't get as much natural attention as we until maybe we're older, or somehow it just comes to our attention, or maybe you just happen to be blessed to have been born into an environment or family that does pay attention to it. um, but many people would probably say that around the world, the one part of us that probably has the lowest development within humanity is our emotional bodies. Um, and I feel like there's a couple reasons for that. One, as I stated earlier, I don't think that we get proper support or acknowledgement or connection to our emotional bodies. And when we do, and if we do, I feel like it's been confusing. So, for example, couple messages that I feel society has really attached to our emotions and our emotional body that haven't really been helpful is one, it's either, oh, stop, it's like almost like a patronizing, belittling component, oh, stop, just get over it, stop being so emotional. How many times, how many times have you heard someone say that to you? Just stop being emotional, almost like get over it, like very, almost like a callous approach to something that you may be feeling, that your body's calling attention to. So I feel that that's one way that society hasn't supported us even wanting to really understand or feed or connect or strengthen our emotional bodies. Another one, in more modern day years, has been we've over coddled. So, for example, now particularly with younger generations, we've confused them to feel that if you're feeling anything, then you have to almost be this really dramatic expression of it, or almost get lost in that emotion, almost like if that emotion is becoming your label, and that's what you identify with. So again, very confusing, because then you may be getting, you may be giving light to what may be bothering you or what needs light, but then what's going on is that you're staying stuck in it, and then you're expecting everything and everyone around you to revolve around that. So again, very confusing, not necessarily helpful or productive. I would say a couple of very important things. If you're the type of person that just internalizes a lot of emotions, doesn't like talking about it, doesn't know how to talk about it, first step is you have to start feeling what you're feeling. Something comes up, don't look at it as a weak thing, don't ignore it, but spend a little time trying to figure out, like, okay, so I'm feeling something, let me try to figure out why. That's a very important part of building up our emotional body, because if you can get to a place where when something comes up, something triggers you, something bothers you, you're in your feelings about something, and you've built a clear system where you don't block it and you don't ignore it, you'll be able to pinpoint where those discomforts or feelings are coming from and why. And that's really the important part. It's figuring out, okay, I'm feeling something and not getting stuck in the I'm feeling this. It's more like, okay, but why am I feeling that? That's the important part. Learning to spend time figuring that out. Now, when I say learning to spend time, I don't mean staying there forever either. The important part is to be able to, emotions are helping us to identify things or areas that we need to feed or nurture or heal. And again, that's the goal, is to be able to get to that place where you're acknowledging things so that you can get yourself into a position of healing, and then hopefully get into that place where you can then purge and release it, right? So when I say to people, feed your emotional body, I mean feed it in ways by giving it attention, acknowledging your emotions in different ways. You can talk about it, you can write about it, you can just sit in self-reflection about it, meditate. So many ways to try to figure out how to connect with yourself and understand your emotions better, and spending time in a moment, like creating pauses to try to figure out where they're stemming from and why. That's helping you to strengthen your relationship with your emotional body, so that anytime in life something comes up, you can identify things a little bit smoother, a little bit faster, And then the other, when I say or encourage people to strengthen your emotional body and your emotional IQ, I mean, it's like any muscle. If we don't spend time building it up and strengthening it, meaning just because we feel something and just because what we're feeling is maybe hurtful or really makes you angry or makes you scared, it's learning how not to let those emotions take over all of who you are. Now, mi gente, this is generally speaking. I know we're human. We're all going to have those moments and those times where, trust me, we're going to allow, or we're going to get caught up in the emotion, and we just get caught up in it, right? How many times have we all been there? We react, right? We get too angry, we get lost in that. We're too hurt, we get lost in that. We're too disappointed, we get lost in that. It happens. And so I say to you, don't beat yourself up on that, but let's work on learning how to navigate those moments in a way where you can move through them smoother. Like learning in the heat of the moment to just pause. Put yourself on timeout. I like to put myself on timeout. Give myself little pauses, for example, that can be very helpful. But strengthening your emotional muscles is important because, especially when you're an adult, adulting happens, life happens, and there's never going to be a right time or the perfect moment. And far too often there never is. So we're not always going to be in a particular environment or space where we're feeling or going through something. We could just get caught up in it, or we could just vomit our emotions on somebody else. Sometimes we really do have to learn how to build and be stronger when we're feeling something. Okay, I got to pause, I got to figure this out, and I have to have better self-control of myself, my mouth, my attitude, my energy, my physical actions. I can't just, lose my shit because I got offended. I can't just lose my shit because you hurt me. So learning to strengthen your emotional body is also learning not to allow the emotions to dictate how you respond, which is the difference between reacting. Reacting is just getting lost in it and just doing. Responding is hopefully pausing, understanding where things are coming from, trying to figure out how to clear your mind, and then learning how to take, if you even need to take any action steps. It's different, and that takes time. So when I like to encourage people to build that muscle up, that's usually what I mean. We got to learn how to build our response muscles within our emotional body, how we handle our emotions, especially when they're really overwhelming, so that we're not getting lost in them. It takes time, mi gente. It doesn't happen overnight. And just taking the baby steps of learning how to recognize your emotions and understand where they come from is already a fantastic place to be in. Next step is, okay, how do I figure out how to navigate them, especially when they're overwhelming or when I'm really in it, so that I'm not getting lost in it and it affects how I respond to something, right? So yeah, we all got work to do. Remember, we're all learning at all ages. And even if you think that you're really good at it already, there's always room for improvement, room to expand, room for more clarity, room to be more smooth and seamless. Pero anyway, mi gente, we got this. We just got to do it together and support each other, and less criticism and just more self-accountability, but at the same time grace and compassion for self, because it's not always easy to have to learn something that was never really taught or never really discussed within our lives. Anyway, mi gente, have a beautiful day. Ciao.